The Grid, a very cool place where Keon very happy because he like it very much. And it's like my favorite. God, I love this movie so much. Welcome to the episode about Tron Legacy.
Wait, we're already rolling? God damn it.
We're already rolling, god damn it.
I have to do my bit. Hang on.
Okay.
Wait, I'm turning too much. This is funny because in the second movie, the light cycles don't go left and right, they turn. All right, this bit's over.
Welcome. So,
Be gone.
be gone, thought. So, Tron Legacy. My God. Really quickly, I want to jump in with kind of the precursor to this movie. Before the movie came out, there was a lot of hubbub. We talked last week about the video games that were not very good. There's one that was good, but this movie had a teaser that came out. The only reason why this movie was greenlit is because they did a cool tech demo. And what they did was the teaser, which is a few minute long. Do you not remember this?
Was it when Deadpool leaked? Was it
Yeah,
Tron?
when it says, "Hi, Tom." Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Hi, Tom.
Just call me Angel.
Oh.
He's just like, hey, you might not like this, but your kids are gonna love it. No, in 2008, they made a teaser for Tron Legacy. It was technically called Tron 2, where the 2 was over the O, but all it is this cool new aesthetic.
Why wasn't it called Turon?
Too fast to run. So this teaser has just the bare bones stuff, which is a program that's on a light cycle and they're being accosted by another program that's in orange, and they are being chased through this like wasteland that doesn't really look like the Grid, but it kind of has some like organic like rock formations. What the hell is this place? And then we see an old Jeff Bridges that's just sitting in his room on top of a mountain, and then he goes over and he watches what's happening. And then all of a sudden God, it's so good. Oh, it's so good. Because like you said, the Grid doesn't exist anymore for the light cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So you can just drive wherever and the stream will be behind you.
Yeah.
So Clue drops out, the orange person in the video. And then the program's like, oh, where did he go? And then he cuts in front. The light cycle explodes. He falls over the wall that's made. And then Clue comes over with his disc and he's just like, bro, it's just a game. And he's just like, lol, not really. And then he kills him.
It's just a game. Not anymore.
And then he says, you pissed on my brother.
Yes, exactly. Which, great pull for later, because he is definitely giving just Big Lebowski vibes.
Yeah.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
If Big Lebowski was trying to be serious for a whole movie. But it's shown that is young Jeff Bridges' face when it's shown that it's Clue. So it's like, what is this about? That released in 2008, and by God, a young Keon was not ready to wait 2 whole years for Tron Legacy. So that comes out, the video games come out, but then little old Keon was obsessed with Daft Punk at the time. Alive 2007, the album had come out, and in my opinion, I'm going to go on record in saying that this is my favorite album of all time. You take the best at the time EDM electronic techno band and take all of their greatest hits and then remix them together into one basically long song for a full hour. It's incredible. I loved it.
Yeah, Keon knows this about me. I do not have very generous things to say about the French. But in this one place, for this one group, for my brother, I was willing to bend the rules.
Additionally, right now, did you see that Fortnite Daft Punk experience?
No, what?
You didn't hear about this?
That doesn't sound good.
Dude, oh my God. I have mixed feelings about Fortnite, but my God, are they doing some dope stuff. So they have, you know when they have like a musical guest do a concert and stuff?
Yeah, and you can stand there and pretend that you're enjoying something.
Yeah, but like the first one with, I think, Travis Scott, and he's like a giant, and he's like over whatever twisted towers.
And you can
just
shoot
like,
missiles at him or something, right?
Basically, yeah. But then there are moments where like everybody flies up in the air or whatever. They literally, they did 2 incredible things. There's several parts to it. The beginning is you go in front of this monolith, and then it shoots you into this intro cutscene that, I'm not kidding you, and I'm a huge Daft Punk fan, I cried. It's so good. I'm not kidding. It's one of the best audio-visual experiences I've seen. I put it up on the projector.
Nice to know you don't have real problems.
It's very cringe. I'm telling you, it's cringe that I cried at it, but it was so good for a Daft Punk fan.
We're all allowed to enjoy things.
Yeah. Also because they had a nod to Electroma. Daft Punk made a movie called Electroma. And it's just a sad French experimental movie.
Avant-garde.
Yes, but
There's just a helmeted man smoking a cigarette.
He's smoking in a different way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He is smoking and looks like a cigarette.
Yes. But God, like as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh man, this is for me. And then they go on to go through like a bunch of the music. It's just so well. Oh, it's so good. Oh, I love it so much. Then you show up in this venue and they just do the set from Alive 2007. They're up on a stage. There's a bunch of cool visuals that happen behind them. Literally the band from Interstellar 5555 comes and plays. And it's
a cartoon band that doesn't exist comes and plays.
Yes, it's great.
An alien cartoon band collected from across the stars.
Yes.
Brought to Earth on a spaceship designed to look like a Boeing 737.
It looks like a guitar, thank you.
In the thing, it was a Boeing 737.
It was a Boeing 737 when they like whitewashed it. When they
You
when they
gotta
reset
stop.
their
You gotta
memories.
stop it.
I'm too passionate. So anyway, they play the Alive 2007 set. It's very good. And then you can go inside and do a bunch of stuff. They remade the Around the World music video.
Into a Boeing 737.
Exactly. No, they remade it with Legos. And so they like do the
that's
dance.
fun.
It's fun.
That's pretty cool.
It's so good.
That's good.
Yes.
All right.
So I have nothing but cool stuff to say about that because it just really hit home for me. But there's no Tron stuff in it because that's a Disney property.
And you know what's really cool about that?
What?
That's a perfect encapsulation for the way that one media conglomerate consumes all other media and slowly becomes the single source of all media. And then that's also basically what Tron is.
We did just go over this in the last episode. Yeah, you're right. No, it's totally exactly what we said.
Wow, you were right. It
NCOM
is
was
so
doing.
prophetic how this one dude who only made Tron and one other movie called it.
So at the time, I heard that Tron was doing a new album, and I was like, "Whoa!" Oh, Tron was doing a new album. Daft Punk was doing a new Tron. Daft Punk was doing a new album.
Tron was doing a new Daft Punk.
Yes, exactly. So I heard that Daft Punk was doing a new album, and I'm like, "What is this going to
They
be?"
demanded to be paid in light cycles.
Yes. And so they're like, what could this be? It's going to be the soundtrack for Tron. And so that came out way before the movie. So I was like, okay.
There's just a lot of spoilers on that soundtrack.
Yeah, seriously. But I just did nothing but listen to that soundtrack for however many months. To the point where the song Derezed became my favorite song. I loved it so much. And I even made it the callback tone on my phone, where if somebody called me, it would just play Derezed and say, the person you're trying to call actually wasn't even that. It was like instead of the ring, it would be Derez.
Yes.
And then Dad called me.
That didn't ever get annoying.
Yeah, Dad called me. He's like, delete that shit from your phone. I was like, that's fair. It's kind of annoying, and I'm a teenager. So yes, I loved it so much leading up to it, to the point where the aesthetic for Tron Legacy was very EL wires. It's just like a bunch of light streaks. So I took EL wire and I put it in a leather jacket and was like, I'm so cool. It's like I'm Tron. Very, very cool.
I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
It was actually pretty cool.
Thank
You did a good job.
Yes.
This was like one of those moments where like, you'd like do something and you're like, am I actually good at this hobby? That was this for Keon.
That was my mini cosplay. It was just a leather
This
jacket
was his
with
first
EL
try
wire.
at cosplay, and this was a important fork in the road where Keon was like, I can either keep doing the other stuff I want to do, or I can become a cosplayer. And he looked at that road and the things down that road, and he turned right.
Yes, and then I went on to do everything else. But then I also did something which was like my first foray into like making a usable prop, which is that you could buy at like the Disney store or whatever a actual identity disc. So I bought one, and then I put a lanyard around it, one of those retractable lanyards, and then I throw it at people, and then do it in such a way where it would come back to me. And I scared the shit out of all of my classmates.
And it
it was
only
very
broke
fun.
like once.
Yeah, I probably hit you if anybody. But it was like genuinely, if you want to do that with a prop, it's kind of fun.
Our conversation from last time. Yeah, frisbees don't hurt.
Yeah. Well, it was heavy. That thing lit up and everything.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I went to the premiere having already made a Tron jacket that lit up in the dark, and then also had a Tron disc that I could throw and catch. So rad.
Dude was dripping in ladies.
It was dope.
All the ISOs
And then-
wanted some of that delicious. They wanted RAM. They
All my
wanted
homies.
his RAM.
Jesus Christ.
They want him to defragment their hard drives.
Yes. So if I'm biased,
computer
stop it, Christ. This floppy disk into a hard disk.
There we
That
go.
one. There we go.
Saved me.
Software into hardware. So if I'm biased in this review, it's because this is one of my favorite films of all time.
I'll keep us honest. Don't
Yes,
worry.
Thank you. So going into this movie, the only thing that comes back from the original Tron is Steven Lisberger is brought in as a producer. He was the original director and one of the writers for the original movie. So but funny enough, and I didn't mention in a last video, but Mobius, the artist, actually worked on the original Tron like designs and all that kind of stuff. Now, the thing that's kind of cool about this movie is that Lisberger comes in to produce. He's like, hey, this is kind of the thought of like what I was thinking when I came to a lot of the writing. Also, Jeff Bridges comes back and plays Kevin Flynn, as well as the actor that plays Tron. He comes back as Alan Bradley, the actor. I don't think anybody else comes back that I remember.
Well, he comes back as the elder Alan Bradley because
exactly.
Tron, you never see his face.
You do. When they do the flashback and they're just walking down the street, you see him for a fraction of a second. And then he says, like, when Clue's attacking Kevin.
I can barely see it.
No, he says, go. He says, like, you see his face say it. I agree. It's like in the background, whatever. But yeah, so he's there. You kind of see his face. So the director, Joe Kosinski, he actually didn't start as a director or a cinematographer or a VFX artist. He started as an architect, getting an architecture degree. And so all of the designs of like the buildings and stuff like that and like the perfect lines are because he actually drafted like the concept art for the movie and then said, hey, let's make this. And so the actual design of the world in this new Tron is very influenced by him and like his eye for like architecture, which is such a cool, like genuinely, I think that is such a cool thing for any sort of artist that makes stuff like this. Like dude went to architecture school and then was like, hey, here's a movie that is my entire architectural philosophy put on screen. Yeah. And it's so cool.
No, this is like one of my favorite things about like artists is that like a lot of my favorite artists usually wind up being people who like the thing that they do or started with is not the like artistry. They like pivoted into artistry and they brought their freaky weird obsession with them. Yeah. And that's why they're always so good. Am I definitely doing that because I also am doing that? Sure. But also, and more importantly, it's just the best. Like every single time you see someone doing that pivot and bringing that like real deep niche knowledge of whatever they're starting from, whether it's architecture or as cars or whatever, into the thing they like.
Yeah.
Is just so good.
And it's funny because in the behind the scenes, everybody's like, well, you know, he's an architect, so blah, blah, blah. I'm like, are you guys just being annoying and saying like, oh, he's an architect as a director? It's like, no, he has an architectural degree and that's how he approached the movie.
In Joe's case, he's coming from architecture. He's an architect. The world of Tron has this reality to it that's very grounded.
He knows where the ventilation shafts and all of the buildings are.
Yeah.
He knows where the plumbing is. God. He knows where they pee.
I didn't want that in the lore. God. We'll see if Steven Lisberger made that into the actual lore.
They don't have zippers, so they just have to pee out their pant legs.
Stop it. And that's actually a part of the, wow, I hate that you actually brought up a piece of trivia. Yeah,
they have to poop in the corner and use the magic wand.
God, stop it. So yeah, the actual outfits that they're wearing don't have any zippers because it's meant to be part of their skin.
Yeah.
So they had to design it in a way where there are no seams on any of the outfits.
It was seamless.
Literally seamless. Very nice.
If it's all materialized, we don't need buttons, we don't need zippers, we don't need any kind of enclosures. So how do we put stuff together? How does somebody get dressed?
As well as where they're going to put the battery pack, because the thing's glowing. And the cool thing about it glowing is that it like shines on the characters, like it's part of the world. The halation that we get from the earlier movie where they had to cut out the stuff that was in like a black cell and then shine light through it is just generating light itself on the film. Now, additionally, all of these technical wonders, like there are parts of the set that like the behind the scenes stuff is so cool. Because like whenever they show you something that just looks simple, it was a lot of like set designers taking a lot of time. Flynn's like lair where he's back like eating dinner and doing all that stuff. The ground that lights up is literally like they had to lift up the ground 10 feet and then just put a bunch of lights under it and then synchronize them. For like 2010, that's crazy. Like you could tell they spent so much time and effort on this movie that nobody liked, apparently. I will die on this hill that so many people had bad things to say about this movie.
Well, like the stakes were kind of hard to understand.
I'll just say that there are a lot of parallels to the first movie that we'll go over. Yes. But yeah, this movie actually, it wasn't a flop, which is surprising. It actually had a $170 million budget, but including like marketing and stuff, it was probably closer to 122 million. And it grossed 400 million.
Wait, it went from 170 to 122?
If you include marketing.
So
or 222. You're right.
Okay.
I love
how when I do marketing, I lose money.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my favorite thing about the Hollywood machine.
Yeah.
So I lose $50 million off the top.
Yeah, started 170 and then went to 222, including marketing. And it made $400 million. So it wasn't a flop.
Yeah, that's a solid return on investment.
But that's the global box office. They wanted the local, like, America box office to be higher, and it really wasn't. So that's why it was a flop, which is so frustrating because it is just such a cool looking movie. But the two cool things in my mind that I want to go over are that Avatar had just come out in 2009, around this time, literally a year before this movie. And so apparently James Cameron had been like making that incredible 3D workflow. Since it had already been out, they literally like handed it over to the Tron team to be like, hey, we want you guys to also be using this. And that's why, in my mind, it is one of the coolest 3D movies. And I'm so mad there's not a way that you could sit in a theater and watch it again in 3D. Because so much of the 3D sections are in... there's something that is so cool to me about you have a presentation for one area, then you have a presentation style for another area. As in the real world, it looks like a movie.
Yeah.
As soon as you go into the Tron, the grid,
There's depth.
it's
Even the water, the ocean thing is so vibrant, and
Yes.
it's just like you feel like you could fall in it.
Yes. Additionally, like all of the layers of it, like of course it was shot, like a lot of it's CG, but like you can see when they go into the grid, it creates a depth map that comes out at you. And I recently watched Quarter Crew like reacting to the movie way back when. I think they did that video like 4 years ago. And in it, they're like, well, that's less cool than him being like digitized by each part of him. But I'm like, in 3D, it looked rad as hell, and you couldn't do it any other way. Additionally, parts where they're like looking at the identity disc for Kevin Flynn, it's like flying there in space and you can see it in it. It just was so good. Even the very end, there's a moment at the very end that like it comes out at you in such a slow and intense moment that you're like, this is cinema, bro. This is so good. Especially the parts with the flying stuff. Like,
No, because that's what makes the light trails feel that much more tangible, and therefore that much more of a threat.
Yes. And additionally, not to be that guy, but back in the day, they made an arcade cabinet for Tron that was in 3D. It was one of the first 3D arcade cabinets. It was like a hologram.
Yeah.
But like genuinely, it's just like this is kind of part of the history of Tron. So I'm gonna gush. It was so good at the time. And I think that it still holds up on a 4K TV. The one other thing that I wanted to mention is that after this movie, everybody was giving John Krasinski a bunch of crap. They were like, or Joe Krasinski. They're like, what do you know about filmmaking? Your first big budget movie was a flop.
Your first big budget movie was a building. Go back to building skyscrapers, idiot.
Yeah, he's like, fine. And he goes builds like the Taj Mahal or whatever. It's like, cool, pal. Yeah, so everybody was saying like, okay, well, this guy's kind of unproven. He's gone on to make the Top Gun Maverick movie, which was one of the highest grossing movies of like 2 years ago, I think it was. And then this year, he made the F1 movie, which apparently is the highest grossing movie that Brad Pitt has ever been in. Bro knows what he's doing. I'm very happy for him in his career because this movie is it's just dripping with style.
Yeah.
So good.
I like this is the same thing that like this is the same gamble that you get Mad Max Fury Road from.
Sure.
This is the exact like this is the thing that I always find so annoying when people are like, this movie sucked butt because it like is like all style and no substance. It's like there are like a million movies like that
Sure.
are like throwing spaghetti at the wall, and like sometimes through the work the story sticks and sometimes it doesn't. That doesn't diminish the quality of what was made.
Yeah, exactly.
It slapped.
It's in my mind, it's exactly what it wants to be, I think personally. And that might not be what other people like for what it's trying to be. It's not what they might have expected, but I think it pulls off what it's going for very well. There's just a couple more things I want to cover before we go into the movie. Apparently, I don't know why, but Daft Punk's really good at making like music without lyrics, right? They wanted Jay-Z to sing over half of the songs. And and apparently
Dodging
like
bullets there.
yeah, no, because like they did it and they asked him to sing over it and they're like, this doesn't work, and they cut all of it.
Good.
So yeah, I'm glad they did that. Additionally, and I mean like this is a later down the line thing, but I forgot to mention in the last video that Kingdom Hearts 2 had a Tron level. And so that's how a bunch of millennials and Gen Z were introduced to Tron and being like, oh, this is cool and interesting. What the hell is all this about? Oh, computers, the digital darkness, the door to darkness.
Computer in my video game.
God, That it's so funny to me, that one iconic scene of Mickey being like, did somebody say the door to darkness? And then you turn around and it's Mickey Mouse unceremoniously standing there smiling at you. And they're like literally sitting there like looking over the Tron like terminal.
Say, fellas, did somebody mention the door to darkness?
Incredible stuff. We love it. But apparently in Kingdom Hearts, and I mean, it's a Disney property, so it makes sense. In Kingdom Hearts for the 3DS, Dream Drop Distance, this universe makes an appearance. I think you play through it as Riku.
I could not care less.
Well, it was very epic because you get to play it as a video
Kingdom Hearts
game.
are at best fine.
Now, the last thing that I want to go over as a kind of primer for this is the one piece of technology that did not age very well. Literally age very well, which was the Jeff Bridges de-aging stuff. It's frustrating to me how close they were to landing it. And I don't mean that it looked good. I mean that every time Clue is on the screen, he's a software.
Yeah, it would be fine.
Yes.
It would have been fine for him to look messed up.
Yes. And every time, by the way, when they did the flashbacks in so cool in 3D, there was a filter over it.
Yeah, like
so
you can't see his actual face.
Yes. And so literally there would be like a screen, and then behind the screen would be the stuff happening. But in 3D, it literally looked like there was a screen in front of you. And it was so cool. But yeah, it did obscure, the image.
It obscures it in the regular thing until the one shot.
Yeah.
There's the one shot. And if they had honestly just like kept it at like his hand on the doorknob and then it just shut, perfect. It would have been perfect.
Because
Well, I don't understand who these people are who are like, we're so proud of this. Why would you be proud of that?
Yeah.
You didn't have to do it. We know Jeff Bridges is in the movie. He shows up later as a normal dude.
And I think recently I watched like this whole long video about like the entire de-aging process and why it's kind of silly, because the whole point is like, yeah, if you have one character very quickly that will be de-aged, I don't think it's that bad. For this purpose, it's really not that bad, but like considering he's a character throughout the entire thing, you could have gotten another actor that looked similar. But the main issue is the fact that you are taking so much time and effort to do something that we as an audience know is fake. The problem is, I know that Jeff Bridges is not 30 anymore. We all know that Harrison Ford is not in his 20s anymore. Like, de-aging him is a cool effect, but we all know in our hearts of hearts, it's uncanny because we know it's not real.
Yeah.
Like, just fundamentally. In my mind, that's why it doesn't work too often.
It doesn't work on two levels. First of all, we already know that. But even if you showed it to just like a person in a vacuum,
oh sure,
it doesn't look like him.
They'd be like, "What's wrong with that guy?"
Yeah. Like you just don't have to show him.
Yes. And so the image that we're talking about in particular is that everything with Clue, it's passable because it's a software.
No, it makes even more sense for Clue because the entire point is that he's kind of like gone off the rails.
Yeah, he's
so the idea that he would even look kind of like a malformed Jeff Bridges would even serve the plot better.
Sure, exactly. And there's just a part at the very beginning. It's so frustrating. It's at the very beginning. He's talking with his son, Sam. He's going over like, what does Clue mean? Codified likeness intelligence. What's Tron? He fights for the users. And it's like, oh, that's cute. He's a child. It makes sense for him to say these things.
You got little action figures.
Yeah, and it looks cool as hell. And then we see him be like, hey, tomorrow, are we going to go to the arcade? He's like, yeah, same team. And he's like, we're always on the same team. And you see his mushy, gummy face. And it's the one shot. It's even sadder because it's at night in the dark. He's rim lit. And it's like, what are we doing? What? You guys had like genuinely at the time, it didn't look that bad. But like literally, if you just delete that and just use either a deep fake or just delete it, literally have him just say, we're always on the same team. And like the door closes in silhouette.
Just hold that shot.
Yeah, just in silhouette, it would be fine. That is the last thing that I want to mention before we go into. Was there anything else you want to say?
I had a fun time. I enjoyed the movie.
I love this movie so much. But as a disclaimer, I would say that this movie is the best screensaver you'll ever have. If you put it on the background, and if they literally took out the dialogue, I would just leave it on in the background for the rest of my life. The dialogue isn't bad, but genuinely the music's so good and the visuals are superb. So that's the main thing, is that if you go into watching this movie, just go into it as a visual splendor. The reason why I mentioned that this movie is kind of very similar to the original Tron is because, like I said in the last episode, Pinocchio was made to be a showcase of how much animation and how far it had come. Tron kind of was a showcase of the current state of CGI at the time. This movie feels very similar. where there are just some pastiches and moments that are like, this is beautiful. And like the entire movie feels so the term verisimilitude or verisimilitudinous, where it all just looks like it belongs.
Calm down, Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick
This is
Willems.
Patrick Will.
Yeah.
First of all, because I haven't gotten to say this on the show, how dare you?
Patrick H. Willems, we're calling you out right now.
Yeah, I did the Speed Racer. Can't link it down below. I did the Speed Racer video years ago. We walked out in 2008. We walked out of that theater. And we knew when we saw it that it was the greatest piece of cinema of all time. It was groundbreaking, and the world didn't deserve it. I don't give a crap that you made your little magnum opus video about how it changed. No, we did that first. You stole our idea.
I'm on team. We can all enjoy this together because apparently it's the best operating or best performing video of this year for good reason.
Yeah, because it was my idea. He saw my video and he was like, this Cameron guy's onto something.
Genius. Yes, exactly.
Now he's going to do other ones
It's
about
going to do about He-Man
and also computer stuff for some reason.
So yeah, the de-aging stuff didn't age super great, but there's so much incredible set design and CGI that like work together so perfectly. But at the same time, just like with Tron, just like with Pinocchio, there are parts of it where it's like, this is a visual candy and that's about it. I am getting on a sugar high and I'm not being fed many nutrients when it comes to the plot. So I'm not saying the plot's bad. I like the plot a lot. We'll get into it. But genuinely, if you're watching this, watch it for the ambiance of it, in my opinion. So are we ready for spoilers?
Yes.
Spoilers! I keep bumping the mic. Anyway,
Why do you think I don't put my arms here and start punching the sky?
this is my studio. I'll do what I want. Tron Legacy. I get why people don't love the plot. Is there anything you want to mention before we do a deep dive of the plot?
Honestly, I think the one thing about this movie that aged the worst,
Yeah.
and I know you think it's the Jeff Bridges thing. There's actually one thing that aged, in my mind, worse than that. It may be the single stupidest thing in the movie, and it happens very early.
What is it?
A little touch keyboard in that thing. What's that about? That's the worst thing I could imagine. If I was a programmer at that company, I would kill someone.
I love that because that's actually from the first movie, and that's why it's in there.
I don't care why it's there.
I agree that the beginning of this movie feels clunky in a similar way that the original did, where it's like, this is not how computer work, and it's kind of silly, but I find it's really funny for, you're saying it's like, oh, this is a blemish on the movie. For me, this is a show of the times because they say, hey, NCOM OS 12, we're putting out a new version of our operating system and it's going to cost a bunch of money even though nothing's new about it. And we're going to make the old one obsolete and you'll have to move on to the new one and pay more money. And then Alan Bradley's like, well, what about kids in schools? How are they going to pay for it? And he's like, we don't care. We're a soulless company. That was, in my mind, a poke at how many new versions of Microsoft kept coming out.
It is unambiguously Microsoft. But the weirdest part of it is completely divorced from the plot of the movie.
Yeah,
they resolve it in 5 minutes. They
Yes.
oh, we're going to do this thing and it's kind of messed up. Oh no, someone broke into our server room and plugged in a USB drive and now they've released it for free. Like someone wasn't going to crack it immediately. That's the funniest thing about this world is like, apparently pirates don't exist.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, all right, we're done. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to drive my motorcycle away.
Which is so funny that Oppenheimer's the person that says that.
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, it's fine. We'll be fine.
You know your operating system that kills everyone? Yeah, it killed everyone. Oh no.
I am become Death Destroyer of Tron, he say. Yeah, the beginning is just about how there was Windows 7, then Windows 8, then Windows 8.1, then Windows 10 eventually. But there was like so many of these different stupid flavors of Windows that were flowing around, as well as kind of Apple-y. I mean, Apple, of course, is just expensive.
Yeah.
So less about the updates because the updates were free, but more about Apple. Now, I also find it kind of funny, and a reason why Teenage Keon was so into this, because I had recently just adopted Linux and Ubuntu as like some of my experimental like
Open
messing
source
around.
is the way of the future.
Exactly. And so when they talk about that, I'm like, yeah, fight for the users. Yeah, this is like Linux, as well as they're actually using some commands that you can use in Linux.
My sweet baby boy.
Yeah. So when he goes to the workshop in Flynn's lab, He says like, "Who am I?" You know, it says Flynn or something like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, those pieces are great and made me feel very at home.
Yeah, like
because-
actual bash commands and stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you think of it as its own thing, not real computer.
This is something that drives me nuts with like half the books I read is like, that's not a bad thing. It's just the way it's connected doesn't make any sense for the stakes. If it had something to do with like the only person who could like actually get in here is my dad and no one's seen him for years. And that's when he's like, he goes back to his dad's. He was like, "Dad, where are you?" And he just punches the keyboard and that's why the thing lights up. That would have been fine. Because the other thing is, unlike the first movie, this movie has the most realistic reason why he gets gamified.
Yeah.
Like in the first movie, why didn't the master control program, as I yelled about in the last video, just shoot him?
Yeah.
Why did just like the gun with the laser on it, just shoot
Just be a
him?
real gun. Yeah.
He set it to laser instead of fully automatic.
Yeah.
Just shoots
Oh,
in
we
the
did
back.
derez, not kill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops. That brings us a little bit to the heroic journey of it all. This is exactly the heroic journey. I don't have all of the heroic journey mapped out, but I have a good amount of it.
Just get a Joseph Campbell poster in here already, you
You
nerd.
really should at this point. But I mean, come on, it's not my fault. It's all in the movie. That's kind of the whole point. So, at the very beginning, there also are some fun setups and payoffs at the very beginning. His assault on Nakatomi Tower or whatever, his heist on Encom Tower is very fun and exciting, but in a playful way where you're like, who's this guy that's invading Encom Tower? He's like, has no...
Who lives out of a shipping container?
Yeah, he's very... No, at the beginning, you don't know who he is.
Which the little Cameron was like, that's where I want to live. That's all I need. A nice
It is
computer,
cool.
a shipping container.
A dog, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at the beginning we see that there's Sam. And we're like, who? Oh, Sam, his father left when he was very young. And then, there's the echo of the name Sam. And then we see this guy riding the motorcycle. It's assumed to be Sam. He then avoids the cops, does a cool maneuver. He's very epic, is running through the place, sees the big door. He's like, that's a big door. I'm like, it is a big door. And then he goes in and then he's interrupting their big shareholders meeting. And it can be assumed, if you're dumb, that when you see Oppenheimer there, you're like, oh, that could be Sam. No, it's not Sam, of course. He's the son of the evil CEO that was in the first movie. And so Sam goes in.
That I didn't actually know.
Yeah.
I thought it was just some guy.
No, they say his name by, he said son of the guy.
Edward Dillinger.
Wow, son of Mr. Evil.
Yes, exactly. Son of a piece of shit. So he goes, plants the bug, it releases the OS to the public, and they're like, oh my God, it's released for free? Oh my goodness. It's like, yeah, shut up. It's fine. No big deal. And then he jumps off of the tower and uses a parachute. That comes up later, and it's very cool. So does the motorcycle, technically, and the light cycles. He jumps on a taxi, and then they have a weird caricature of a taxi driver, and I didn't like that very much. That doesn't hold up very well either. And then he gets arrested. And the cool thing about him getting arrested is a helicopter shoots a light right down on him. Then take him to jail, they get him out of jail, and then Alan Bradley comes to his cool shipping container house. And this is part of the cool architecture of the place. Bro drew that, I'm pretty sure. And so I just love that like all of the atmosphere is created in such a way that like Mobius was drawing back in the 80s. He's like, I'm an architect that can show you exactly what I'm envisioning and we can make it. So he goes to the cool place. And then Alan Bradley's just like, you're wasting your potential, you're stupid boy.
Yeah, why aren't you rising and grinding?
Exactly.
That's literally
Wow.
no. That's the other thing that was like really annoying about this movie was like there's just like when he's in the real world, there's just like an undercurrent of like rise and grind or don't bother at all.
Yeah, he's just like, well, you're being a little sassy nepo
Like
baby.
that's
Yeah.
the thing is like his dad is the hero because his dad is the only one who's like have fun, be chill, we'll play games. That's like where real innovation and things come from. And the moment he loses that joy in his life is the moment he becomes this jaded little like piece of crap and everyone's telling him like rise and grind kid. And again, they had like it's like you can see the better movie right there. It's right there.
Yeah.
If I got into that writer's room with a baseball bat, I could have fixed this movie in like 12 lines.
Well, but that's the thing is that the theming is muddled. I agree. That it's like there are some very obvious ways where you could have made the theme like very concrete, and you could do a couple different types of stakes. But the main stakes are like father-son, and then as well as the stuff in the digital world. So apparently he gets a page from his dad. He's like, your dad paged me. You should go check out the arcade. And then we go back to Flynn's little hideout, and it's very cool. Loved it. We see all of the cool little arcade cabinets. It's the only time they use non-Daft Punk music.
Why is there like Goonies-esque hidden door?
Why wouldn't there be? I would put that. Come on.
That is the stupidest of all. I'm sorry. That is legitimately like.
I will have you know that a friend of mine just installed a Scooby-Doo style bookshelf. You open it and it goes into a room.
Yeah, the bookshelf is fine.
You
That's
wouldn't do that with
easy.
an arcade cabinet. The series is about arcade cabinets.
Yeah, but it's so complicated and like it's like a lot of welding involved. What you're talking about is you take a normal door, you put a shelf over it.
Yeah.
Ideally, a lot of empty, hollowed out books on it, so you don't completely screw up the weight on the shelf.
Boo.
Kevin, because the thing is, Kevin did this in private. He didn't hire contractors.
This is what he was doing instead of hanging out with his
Kevin
kid.
in the middle of the night with a freaking arc welder making this contraption door instead of spending time with his wife and son. No wonder his son's all like, I'm messed up and I don't know what's going on with my dad. Because his dad was busy installing this door instead of spending time with him.
Agreed. So they play Separate Ways. I mean, an appropriate song. And then they play Sweet Dreams. So I guess that's closer to like Clue's whole thing. Finds a cool terminal. He's like, who are you? I'm Flynn. Oh my God, I'm Flynn too. Isn't that so crazy? And then he gets warped into.
And then he was in like Flynn.
He's what?
It's in like Flynn. It's a thing. It's a reference.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your reference on my own podcast.
In like Flynn is a slang phrase meaning having quickly or easily achieved a goal or gained access as desired. Also spelled exactly the same way as Flynn from the movie.
The grid. He gets in the grid, and then we get another cool spotlight shot on him, just like when he was storming NCOM, and a recognizer shows up, and it looks very cool.
It doesn't recognize him.
And it doesn't recognize him. And so it's abducting people. They're going to the games, and this is when we see the first D-Res. And it was harrowing in theaters.
It was the coolest shit ever.
A very skittish program is like, I don't want to go to the games. I will do anything but go to the games. And so he breaks away from the people.
Which
Yes.
is anything but going to the games.
Yes.
Well done.
And so he jumps into like what looks like a giant
I
turbine.
like a program of his word.
Yeah. And then he screams, erase me. And it's like, bro, calm down. Erase me! And then he gets destroyed and we see him turn into a bunch of little particles. Now, the cool thing about these particles are that I think that this was the beginning of the voxel era. Do you know what a voxel is?
A loud box.
Yes. No, a voxel is when you take basically like pixels, but in 3-dimensionals. So you build a design with a bunch of little blocks instead of using like an actual sculpting thing. Similarly to like pixel art, voxel art is like 3-dimensional pixel art. So a good example, of course, would be Legos. Legos is a decent example. But another one would be Minecraft. You know what came out very soon after this movie?
So he was a cow?
He was Steve.
From Minecraft?
From Minecraft.
He's Jack Black?
He's Jack Black.
Chicken Jockey?
We got there. Great. Jesus.
That's my favorite
Oh my
scene was
God.
when one of the guys jumps on the chicken jockey.
Go watch our episode about
runs
Minecraft.
directly into one of the light cycles and explodes.
Actually, I just realized our Minecraft episode is just an April Fool's joke. Quick review for Minecraft after having actually seen it. It was probably my favorite experience in theaters. It was like watching a concert where everybody knew the lyrics. Because like all of these teenagers were just screaming. Like you had to watch the movie with like a Sherpa. Because there was, I'm not kidding, there was one teenager who knew when a thing was about to happen and he stood up in his seat and he screamed it. And all of the other teenagers, like the wave, all reacted. And I literally was looking around and I was like, this is awesome. It was like going to a concert.
Chicken Jockey.
Oh man, I'm that sad I never saw it in theaters.
I'm sorry y'all will never be able to experience that outside of
It's
that
just
moment.
like Tron in 3D. We'll
Yeah.
never get to experience it.
I've heard other people compare it to seeing like Endgame in theaters when it first came out.
I just loved all the memes. It was like me going to the popcorn, or me going to the concessions counter, me ordering 2 large buckets of popcorn, me looking the man directly in the eye, knowing full well I'm not going to eat either bucket of popcorn.
No. And I feel bad because when I first heard about kids being crappy like that, I was like, well, that sucks. And then I watched the movie while they were doing that. I'm like, this is awesome. Like there's just confetti
If
everywhere.
they could just clean up afterwards, it would be victimless prank.
If each of the popcorn buckets came with their own like scooper little like dustpan, that'd be nice. So They're now in the grid. They do the D-res. And yeah, this was like in my mind, the inception of like the voxel style design. And so you see that whenever somebody's injured, it's just in the form of like they become voxelized. They turn into these blocks. But Flynn, both Kevin Flynn and Sam Flynn, don't do that because they're human beings. So that's only for the programs. They go in, they go do the games. Before the games, is it just me or is it kind of silly that the programs have a life outside of like dressing up Sam Flynn for the games?
Those programs don't. They just stay in the wall the whole time.
No, but the one white one does. Remember?
Oh, yeah, you're right. She gets a drink.
Yeah, she escorts him over to Zeus's caster's pub. What end of line?
Maybe she needs maybe that's like she was a daemon assigned to do that or something.
I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, it was so weird.
I can't apply actual computer logic to this. What am I doing?
Yes. So yeah, they put on the outfit. It looks rad as hell. So good. Completely seamless, literally. And then they go up and then they do the games. And man, the discs bouncing off the walls and having the sound design of this squishy noise is so good. Every time you're watching anything happen, you're just like, this is okay. A very good introduction to these moments. So you have the introduction of Sam showing up, being like, oh, a disc? This sucks. And like being scared, seeing somebody get de-resed right next to him. He's like, I don't want that to happen to me. I need to learn how to do this. And he slowly gets better at the games. And then finally, the Rinsler shows up. Dude, Darth Maul in Tron is so funny to me. They had Darth Maul show up with two-sided lightsaber and they're like, what if two disc though? Wouldn't that look cool? I'm like, it would look cool. And he had a cool helmet. This is great. It's exactly what I want. Like, I can't tell you. They have Daft Punk helmets on
How
this
do we
guy.
know he's bad guy Tron?
Because
what
red.
if Tron upside down? What if T upside down?
Was the T upside down?
Yeah, the T was upside down. Did you never notice that?
That's
It was
awesome.
upside down T.
They had an upside
And it
down
was
cross,
red.
really? And he was red? Oh my god, that's so funny. So he fights Rinsler. Rinsler captures him, and then he meets with Clue because he's like, oh, this is my dad, right? Because he looks my dad's age when I last saw him. It is very simple, very silly, but like seeing Clue sit there in his like kind of jacket, long jacket and helmet, like this looks so damn cool. So Clue and Rinsler both have badass helmets. Sam is then sent to the light bike race. And god damn. This is what I mean about the movie not really having much going on outside of just cool visuals. You immediately go from the disc fight, immediately, right from that, straight to the light bike races. And it makes sense because they're like, these are the games. This is what all the software is here to watch. And you see a clever way to do light cycle races. I know that it's the next idea that like, instead of going at 90-degree angles, they can go wherever they want. But like, man, is it just a visual candy that when the light cycle explodes, it's just a fluid sim exploding everywhere. And you just have like the ingenuity of Sam trying to get around like Clue and their better bikes by working together.
Well, it's also nice because like it doesn't feel like, okay, they just turn. Like they've made like a meaningful evolution to also the map. So they're like levels that they're going up and down, and they're going around the like different parts, and you have like the different ways that like instead of just having like the left and right turns, you see like this more meaningful way that they're trying to like team up against individual programs.
Yeah. And apparently at E3 that year, they not only had a big booth for this Tron Evolution stuff, but they also did have a real life light cycle, which apparently you could win.
It was
I don't know
gas
who won
powered.
it, but yeah, apparently you could win it. It was street. I don't know if it was street legal. It probably could go at least 25 miles an hour.
That's the thing is it had like no ground clearance or something.
Well, of course, it doesn't even have treads on it. That thing's going to slip and slide everywhere.
Yeah, it was like there's something weird about the way they made the tire for it. So it just like it's objectively the most ass thing ever. And that ironically plays very well into the moment Olivia Wilde shows up. And the fact that she has like the bat tumbler of like light trucks.
It definitely feels like that. And she just shows up, is like, get in and let's get the hell out of here. Clue will kill you or do something else. And so then they leave. And then we're right there with Jeff Bridges as Flynn. And it is...
He's in like Flynn,
Kill me. So then they meet him and he's just like an awkward dad. He's like, I don't know what to do. The way that I don't know if I'm crazy because this happened, I think, in the world of the movies. It's supposed to be like 20 years after. He shouldn't have aged that much in 20 years. So I have a theory that he aged quicker in the computer because the computer run faster, I guess. Cycles. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have another theory. they made a movie when they felt like it, and that's just how things lined up.
Additionally, he is just playing, and we mentioned last time, he is just playing Big Lebowski, but if Big Lebowski wasn't allowed to tell as many jokes.
You're messing with my Zen thing, man.
And they have a dinner together where they have like cube drink, where the drink have cube in it, and it's great. The way that he can't just take 2 seconds not to put pressure on his son that he just resaw of being like, yeah, so you run income, right? And he's like, no, shut up, I have a dog. And he's like, okay, cool, this is great, this is going great. And Cora's just laughing like, what is going on here?
Human interaction is weird.
Yeah, she thinks that he knows who knows Jules Verne in real life. Adorable. She, unfortunately, in my opinion, is an example of the sexy born yesterday trope. Yeah, you know about this?
Yes.
I'm not a huge fan of that trope. And apparently Olivia Wilde said she worked really hard on her character and tried not to make her like that. And there are parts where she isn't like that. But it really comes across that she's just like the manic pixie dream girl that's like, okay, well, I wish she had more to do besides be the last of her kind, you know?
Yeah, she's the last unicorn. The nice part is like when they don't play into it too much. Like, I feel like this movie didn't try too hard to be like, look, she is hot and I'm going to definitely hook up with her. And then you get to the very end of it, it's like, ooh.
And now that she's been introduced, I think this solidifies in my mind that like, okay, there is a God allegory in this damn thing. They call Flynn the creator and Sam is his son.
No, he unambiguously creates a new life by the end of the movie. A new being in the shape of a human exists.
They keep following the North Star. There are technically 3 wise men in the form of Clue.
My favorite
Flynn,
part was at the end
Tron.
where Clue was like, you can't defeat me unless you brought me the 3 sacred items. And then Sam reveals out from underneath his jacket gold, frankincense, and myrrh.
He's like, no, in Aramaic, Tron is spelled with a J. And then he dies.
And the T flips upside down and it reveals it's actually a J for Jesus Christ.
Perfect. I feel like, I mean, it's very obvious that they were going for that, but it's so loose, you know? It's just in lip service that like, he's the creator. He created stuff. He has a son. The son has come to liberate these people. That's it. You know, there's not much else in my mind beyond that.
But also, there's not these people.
Yeah,
This person.
Sure, the person, but
That's
also like the system in a way. Yeah.
So this is where we can bring up Tron Uprising, which is like the ISOs are like a whole thing, and she is the last of the ISOs. So she's literally just like, what was the point of any of this? Because all the other programs you see are just programs.
Yeah.
She's an ISO. She's supposed to be special in that she's the only like program that isn't serving a specific task.
Yeah. They call them isomorphic algorithms is what he specifically calls their like kind of race.
Yeah.
And the thing is, yeah, Clue is able to repurpose all of these other programs to do his bidding, which is in the form of trying to assault, do an assault on the real world. Outside of the God allegories, I think that there is an interesting story to be told about basically Flynn's 3 children. Because he has Sam, his biological child, that didn't really get to see him much. We have Clue, who was literally like crafted by him by hand and is given like a fatal flaw hubris. And then we have Cora, who is someone that was kind of created out of his like vision, but not directly, and is allowed to grow on her own. And it's kind of interesting to see that like, the way that the writers kind of put all 3 of them out there to show like the ways, I mean, literally Clue is meant to be
it's literally an Adam and Eve in his literal Garden of Eden.
Yes,
There's no ambiguity there for the God allegory. Sam is the only non-purely God created thing he does.
Yeah. But of course, Clue is a direct foil for Sam, but especially like his parallel with Flynn. I mean, he even says it at the very end where he's just like, you're a robot. You can't change. When I made you, I was a dickhead. And you are me when I was a dickhead. I'm sorry, but that's how it goes.
That's my favorite part of the Bible, by the way. So God's talking to Adam. He was like, yeah, sorry, I got kicked out of Eden because you can't change you. When I created you, I sucked. And now you eat my apple, you gotta live.
Yeah. So yeah, at the end, I appreciate that about like Flynn being like, okay, well, the whole point of the ISOs, as well as himself, is like, once we actually like are able to grow and evolve, we can actually become, the better part of ourselves. But if we stay as we were, then you do all this crazy crap, you weirdo. You want to make the perfect system. Well, you purge all of the things that you don't like about it. Kind of like, I don't know, another person that did a genocide against the people just cause.
Yeah, no, that's the like, because that's the second muddling, right? Is that then you have like this giant like weird World War II, because that's the Tron Uprising is like very clearly in that show. They're very clearly showing you the rise of fascism that leads to this grid. They're showing you the ISOs, and they're showing you like this downfall of society and people trying to do resistance and people trying to create. And it just implies that there are other ISOs and like more people out there who are just not getting saved at the end of this movie.
So yeah, so we muddle the themes a lot with a lot of these things. But if you're a silly teenager like I was, you just see it and be like, oh my God, that Hitler. Oh, I know Hitler.
Yeah,
wow,
Hitler
they put him
bad.
in a movie. Yeah, Hitler bad. I know this.
And that's actually really brave of you, because apparently a lot of people have still not learned that.
Yes. But then additionally, it's like, oh, they said creator. He like God and he create. Wow, interesting. Sam like son. I get it. So, you know, they're very lip servicey symbols. Now, we're nearing, frankly, the end of it, because Sam goes to End of Line. And at End of Line, he meets Castor, who's very cool, played by Martin Sheen.
Wait a second.
Michael
Did
Sheen.
I just get that pun right now, years later?
End of Line?
Yeah. Years later. I just got it.
I'm proud of you. I'm glad.
Sorry, it was one of those things you don't really think about when you're looking at the light cycles
that was like
exploding.
me with Pong the last episode.
You
That's
know,
fair.
you're just looking at the light cycles exploding. You look at the light cycle jets that are going around. You're just like, yeah, this is pretty cool.
Yes, exactly. So they go to End of Line. That's where Daft Punk is. You see them. Also, they play a song when Castor says, like, change the scheme, alter the mood. And then they play a song that's not on the soundtrack. And I still haven't been... If you guys know what song that is, let me know, because I've not been able to find it. There's a specific song that they play.
My name is Jen.
What is the song? It's not on the soundtrack. He talks to Castor. Castor says his name actually was Zeus, and that he used to help the ISOs. Now he doesn't. And then he basically gives them up to Clue. And then when all of the other people come and they parachute in, then we get de-resed. And oh my God, this song is so good. There's also a dude that has like his eye cut and it's like the voxels in it. It's just so cool. Like everything just fits the design. It's great.
Like it's weird because there's a visual language that's very consistent in the movie. There's just thematic language is not.
And now, quickly, I want to go over the heroic journey just because we're here in an important moment.
You got to make like a transition card called Keon's Heroic Journey Power Corner.
Because we start off with a guy living on his own and is kind of like in a funk. We have your everyday moments.
All I do is overthrow large corporations and make them give out their software for free.
Yeah.
What is a guy to do? I have no manageable skills that could translate to anything else.
And funny enough, he doesn't have his I want moment, which would have just been like if he literally had just said,
my dad. I overthrew the government of a small country, but I couldn't find my dad.
Yeah, at least as an adult,
I would stop doing incredibly good acts of altruism for the people if I could just find my dad.
Oh, a pager! Wow. So he has this call to action. So the pager gives him
literal
this literal
page to action.
Page to action. And so then he goes and he crosses the threshold, as in he goes into the
He gets
grid.
rezzed.
He gets rezzed. Now that he's in the grid, he meets his foil / shadow, which is in the form of Clue. And so this is the primary antagonist that he will be fighting against. And then we have the sage character in the form of Flynn. So we have the character that is meant to guide him on his journey, impart some wisdom, let him grow, and become a better character.
Yeah, it's the character he's meant to tour with. What would you call such a guy?
Flynn? Wait, what am I talking about?
The mentor. The sage.
Okay, shit. That took me a second. Okay, so a sage. And then we arrive here at End of Line, where we have our Dark Night of the Soul, which comes a little early, honestly, in the heroic journey kind of thing, where Cora, trying to save Sam, ends up getting her arm sliced off. She goes catatonic, and then we also lose Flynn's disc. Flynn's disc is the only thing keeping Clue stuck in the grid.
All of his Bitcoin private keys. And now Clue can get all of his Bitcoins.
He just immediately Silk Road orders a bunch of missiles and tanks and whatever, and they're like, wow, okay, I guess. We'll send it just to Flynn's arcade.
Send our programs to the real world. We'll just buy a bunch of mercenaries.
We'll have all these drones. But anyway, so yeah, the Dark Night of the Soul. So this is the moment where all is lost, right? What happens in the middle of the movie, which is surprising. That just makes the stakes less heightened. The darkest and most severe part of the movie happens in the middle and is kind of resolved very quickly.
Yeah, but he literally just like goes into her programming and is like, I'm just going to debug some code and turn it into a butterfly. It's like, shouldn't the butterfly be evil or something? What is any of this?
The evil butterfly in her code. But yeah, it just shows that she's an ISO. They talk a little bit. Then yeah, they get to going back and doing their own heist. So similar to having the heist on the Encom Tower, Now they're going to go do a heist to get back Flynn's disc. And that's kind of the climax of the movie, which is kind of silly because there isn't your big moment that requires all of the stuff to come together all at once. Because they do that heist, get in a plane, and then they have a dogfight and the movie's over.
They also don't have to like convince him of anything.
Yeah, no.
Like, if there had been more like, Dad, I need you to come back to the real world to do something. And it's like, you can't, I'm not going to do that because the real world sucked. I fell in love with this girl. Got weird. I can't go back. Literally do anything other than go to therapy.
It's too cringe, Sam. I can't do it.
I created this entire world and did all these things instead of going to therapy, which in hindsight would have cost way less and probably put the world in way less danger. But here we are.
Oh, wow. There's a lot of CEOs that could take a hint. Yeah. Which, go watch our last episode for any of the context on that joke. But then we get all of this, like the climax is very just kind of a bunch of cool moments that happen one after another. We pay off a lot of stuff. So we pay off the like doing the parachute at the beginning of the movie. We pay off the made it moment that Cora says early on. And there are two elements I want to say really quickly that are like kind of trivia, which is one, when they're on the Solar Sailor, Steven Lisberger said for the original Solar Sailor in the original movie, he's like, I wanted it to look translucent and really pretty and stuff. And they're like, we can't, computer dumb now. Please leave us alone. We only have so much processing power.
Why don't you go fly a kite? He's like, a kite?
And so, yeah, he wanted it to look like really, you know, magical and stuff and have like a literal transparent like sail. And it took like 3 decades to finally get it in the form of this Solar Sailor. So I thought that was kind of funny. But then 2 is a moment where Jeff Bridges Flynn is just like, so how's technology now? He's like, bro, I don't know where to start. Like, you don't even know what Wi-Fi is. He's like, Wi-Fi? And he's like, yeah, like, you know, remote data. And he's like, oh, I had that idea in 1985.
What's Wi-Fi?
Wireless interlinking of digital devices? I thought of that in 85.
1985 is when the FCC first publicized about the 2.4 gigahertz broadband. So technically, he might have heard about that and been like, in the context of this movie. No,
that's his name on the patent.
Yes, exactly. Kevin Flynn. But I thought that was a cute little touch that apparently the year that they brought out the technology that would lead to Wi-Fi, he's like,
No, like that's the weird thing about patent trolling. Like this is an annoying like not joke in the movie.
Yeah.
Is that there are dudes now who have been sitting on like the idea for how cloud infrastructure works.
Oh, sure.
And they just sue companies that sell cloud infrastructure technologies. Dozens and dozens and dozens of people are always having these ideas all the time.
Yeah.
And some of them are even doing it right now. Like that's kind of like the stupid funniness of that moment that I don't think a lot of people appreciated in the theater.
Well, 2 concrete examples of that recently were, 1, fidget spinners. Fidget spinners existed technically since the 80s, but the lady that first came up with the idea or patented it wouldn't let it go. And then so the only reason why fidget spinners got so big is because that's when the patent ran out. And then additionally, 3D printers. 3D printers have existed for a long time, but the patent didn't run out until I think the early 2000s. So we're basically at the end of the movie, and we just get this cool heist scene with the disc. It's fun. We get that guy dying, the stupid like clownish character, and then we go into a dope ass dogfight that kind of feels like the culmination of everything. We start off with the recognizer, it looked really cool. Then we move on to the light discs. Then we move on to the light cycles. And now here we are with these light jets. Unfortunately for us, this is the end of the movie basically, because Clue has his entire cool dogfight. They get in this giant, apparently the plane was even supposed to be bigger, but they're like, we can't make it even bigger.
Well, if they made it bigger, it would also look stupid because it has to fly through the other light trails.
Yes, exactly. So they do the whole thing. It stalls in midair, which doesn't make much sense for a computer in my opinion, but who cares? And then we get Tron finally having his turn back to the light.
Turn upside down.
T turn upside down. And he says, I fight for the users. And so then he goes and kills Clue, but it's so funny where they're literally like, he's too angry to die. They're falling out of the sky and he literally like pulls away the jet little thing away from Tron and he's like, you die in this water, you dickhead. And so then he flies away. And then Clue shows up and kicks him off catwalk. And this is the moment. This is the moment that in 3D looked so good and felt like, if you were watching it in 3D, was the culmination of the entire movie's like demonstration. Because you have Sam trying to get over there. He's trying to get his father out too. They're trying to leave and go back home. And Flynn is just like, this isn't going to work. I need to take out Clue. You go with Cora. You guys get out of here. It's going to be okay. I want her to go too. She doesn't need a disc. She's okay. She's an ISO. And so we have the moment of Flynn realizing that he has to reabsorb Clue. I don't get why that works, but who cares?
Because a part of his soul's in it. Clue's soul is part of Jeff Bridges' soul is in Clue. So if he just reabsorbs the soul, then Clue dies.
I guess so. Yeah, sure.
It's his grid, his rules.
There we go. And so while he's reabsorbing him, Clue is trying to just grit his teeth and fight through it. And he gets really close to the camera. And in 3D, you see every part of his face and the fact that it's slowly being de-resed as you're watching. And bro, in 3D, that was so good. Like, it looked incredible. And then he finally gets reabsorbed into Flynn. And then did they just destroy the entire grid? Because it seems like they did.
Because the thing is, like, Jeff Bridges is implied to have died at that point.
Yes. But we technically don't see like the city being blown up. We just see like this giant explosion. So technically the city might be okay. But at least we know that Clue and his entire group of people that were trying to leave can't do it anymore.
And we also know all of the game last time, they turned it off and it was like, are these people suspended in perpetual agony?
Exactly. So yeah, they have now Flynn's disc. So that's a good question because they technically have his disc now on that little keychain. And we see technically, I don't know if these would be considered spoilers because they're in the trailer, but Jeff Bridges might come back in the new movie, Tron Ares.
I'm gonna make this bet with you
Yes.
because we still have to do the Ares video. They're gonna do the Jeff Bridges, Jeff Goldblum thing where it's like, these ISOs deserve to live in ours. Like the dinosaurs from the second Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And like there's gonna be like a weird snippet of Jeff Bridges saying something or like something out of context where it's like, yeah, he's in the movie for like 12 seconds.
Based on the trailers, I don't agree. We'll see. There's one part in the trailer that spoiled it, and
I
don't
hope
love
I
it.
eat my hat.
Yeah.
But like if they're gonna do like some weird like your dad really believed in blah blah blah, except I don't think Sam's in this movie at all.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, we get to the very end where Cora had said like, hey, what's the sun like? He's like, I don't even know how to describe that, which is, I think, a good character moment of being like, how do I describe one of the most fundamental human moments to a non-human, to somebody that's never experienced
You know
it?
that big spooky light that we were just stuck in?
Yeah.
Imagine that, but it's not scary.
Yeah. Which is actually kind of funny because it reminds me of the fact that apparently some deaf people, if they get their hearing given back to them, they think that the sun makes a constant loud noise at all times because they just have no frame of reference. Apparently this is a thing that like a lot of deaf people, once they can hear, are just like, wow, I didn't realize the sun would be quiet.
So when you say they get their
No
hearing
frame of
back,
reference, yeah.
like they had
Oh,
like
deaf people, yeah. You said blind.
yeah. So when blind people get their hearing back,
They're like, wow, the sun's so loud. Yeah. So Cora then is able to see the sun and feel it on her skin, and it's nice. And I think it was a good.
and the look on
bookend.
his face, so he's like, I can't have sex with it.
He's
I
like,
gotta remember that she's the
particularly
computer.
my sister, adopted sister. I can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. And then we have the end of the movie, and I thought that was a nice chill end. And then we have a dope ass song at the very end. So I understand why people don't love this movie. I've laid it out a lot.
Yeah, no, it's the vibes. It's
Yes.
the Mad Max Fury Road. Sometimes it's more it lives in the storyboard more than on the script.
Yeah, fair. The one other piece of trivia that I thought was kind of funny is that Daft Punk, of course, I've talked ad nauseum about how much I love Daft Punk, but apparently when they were first being reached out to do the soundtrack for this, were told, hey, so we're thinking about doing a Tron movie. Would you want to do the soundtrack? And they geeked out. They immediately were like, we're fanboys. We want to do this so bad. Would it be like this? Can we do this? Can we whatever? And
Please, we apologize for being French. We promise we won't bring it up in the movie at all.
It was just text going across their faces. But
Wahoo,
genuinely,
wahoo, wahoo.
yeah. But apparently the executives were like, we've never been like, it felt like we were being interviewed for it. We didn't know what to do or to say about it. Additionally, Deadmau5 was also being courted to do the music for this. And he was like, okay, well, that would be kind of cool. And when he found out Daft Punk was also in the running, he's like, give it to them. I don't care. They're going to do great.
There's a
job.
respect thing.
Yes, it is really cool. I really like that. Is there anything else you want to say about Tron Legacy?
I think it's just like, it's definitely one of those, like, I could watch it again. I could
Hell yeah.
always watch it again. Flaws and all, it's one of those movies that, like, people will always dunk on it. I will dunk on it, but I still think like when I saw it in theaters, when I not to the same degree you did, but I was like, this movie did something. It did something awesome, and I can't believe that it didn't get more love.
Yeah. And so, unfortunately, they were going to make a sequel in 2015, but the reason they didn't, because this is Disney, because the movie Tomorrowland flopped. And they're like, we're going to go away from these kind of high concept movies. So
those are not even like remotely similar in like anything.
Yeah, right? It's very silly, but that's the reason I've been given. And so they finally agreed to do it now. But the thing that really, for me, is the perfect moment about this is that Daft Punk made the soundtrack for Tron Legacy, of course. And when they released it, it was incredible and everybody loved it. And then the movie comes out. And then the Oscar nominees come out. And they were not nominated at all for Best Soundtrack. At all.
I didn't know
You didn't
that,
know this?
no.
They weren't nominated. I'm pretty sure they weren't. I could be wrong. Because it doesn't matter. Because the one movie that was nominated was A Social Network. And that one won. And you know who did the music for A Social Network?
Who?
Trent Reznor. And guess who's doing the music for Tron Ares?
That's probably why they got that.
Yes! I am completely certain that the only reason they got 9 Inch Nails is because this is the guy that beat them for Best Soundtrack.
Nails is so good though.
It's going to be rad. I haven't heard it yet. Apparently the soundtrack's out, but apparently it's really good.
I'm so like, this is the thing that drives me so nuts about Tron Ares is like, how can you have such like, this is like the cost of like having 9 Inch Nails be in it is that Jared Leto is also in it.
Well, genuinely, apparently that was the big get for them, for Disney. They were like, well, when Jared Leto signed on, we felt confident in moving forward. And I'm like, shut up, man. I don't want to see the movie anymore because he's on it. And yeah, this was around the 2020s, which in my mind is like, bro, that's after Suicide Squad. That's after him being really annoying and not like, and it's funny
It's
because
after more $1 billion.
He to me is such for me, a hit or miss actor where like some stuff he's incredible in.
I can't think of a single time he hit.
Well, Dallas Buyers Club.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. And then also he was in Fight Club. He was the blonde guy.
Why is that a hit?
Because Fight Club good. And
He
I like
didn't
Fight
do
Club.
anything.
The
to
blonde
that.
guy that
Yeah,
gets
apparently
he gets
when
beat
he's-
up in the movie.
Yeah,
it's
so
wish
if,
fulfillment.
If if Jared Leto is just a background dressing piece of nothing in this movie and he gets beat up a bunch and that's his only role, and then I'll give it to him. Then it will be a great movie.
He, in my mind, is made for art house films. And the
That is
problem
so disrespectful to art house films.
No, because he's so crazy. Like Kirsten Dunst has a great quote in which she says, "I don't method act. I think that's only for the men actors. I just act." And it's really funny because the more I think about it, the more that when you're like maybe starting film school or getting into movies, you're like, oh my God, Kubrick did this one scene 300 takes to get it perfect. And then once you've made a project yourself, you're like, what is wrong with him? We all have to go home.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
I will do this scene 3 times, and the best take is the take we're taking.
Yes, and we can move on and it's okay. Same thing for Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. Like, he would just start scenes and run into traffic and like break a hip because he got hit by a car, and they luckily filmed it. But like, bro, if you're going to method act, as well as Daniel Day-Lewis on, I forgot which movie it was, but he got like pneumonia because he was acting as if he was in the 1800s.
Shit. It was, I just looked this up the other day.
Yes, exactly. Because it wasn't There Will Be Blood, it wasn't Lincoln, but yeah, it was whatever this was. That's what I mean. Of like, all this stuff about Jared Leto being so like crazy and out there and whatever, to me is like, he is the one method actor that I'm like, it's not cool. It's not okay. And additionally, we don't have time for it. So
let's be honest. It's never been okay.
Yeah.
No one cares.
Sure.
When I hear that you like made other people upset for your craft, I was like, that's not cool. That's awful. I don't like that.
The one piece of filmmaking advice I will give to you right now is you just need to be good, easy to work with, man. If people will like you and you work well on a set, then you will most likely be invited to more sets. That's why Christopher Nolan has all of the same actors in the same movies. He's like, we all work well together.
Yeah.
Same thing for all these other actors and directors.
Yeah. What's his name? Cillian Murphy isn't going to method act so hard that he gets pneumonia and ruins the like Oppenheimer like table.
He's like, well, Oppenheimer was irradiated by the end of the thing, so I'm going to just expose myself to a bunch of radiation. Like,
Yeah.
dude,
He had
we're
cancer.
fine.
I'll have cancer.
Perfect. So yeah, Jared Leto, we'll see. But I just hope that the movie's good in spite of him, frankly. And like I said, I personally think that there are times where he is a good actor, but there's a lot more times where I've seen him and been like, this is just weird and I don't like it. And I wish that this was any other actor that might have been like a B-list star, but it'd be fine. Do you know about his cult?
Yeah.
For the uninitiated, God. Jared Leto is the singer for 30 Seconds to Mars. Great band, good music. Weird guy, and goes to an island once a year for a retreat in which he is just like swimming in people. Like they all spend time and like buy time to go be one-on-one with him and like hear his, like literally, and I mean I use the word cult, but like genuinely it's giving like very weird energy. And it's just this one getaway with him on this island. It's super weird. You didn't know about this?
I didn't know about the island.
Yeah. Or it's like a retreat. It's a whole thing.
Is it next door to Epstein's?